The email arrived at 2:17 a.m., glowing on her cracked phone screen like a cruel joke. "We regret to inform you," Aisha didn't finish reading. She already knew the ending. Another rejection, another door closed, another reminder that talent and effort didn't always matter when life decided to be unfair. She sat on the edge of her narrow bed, the city's distant sirens echoing through the thin walls, and pressed her forehead into her palms. By morning, she had one last interview left, her final chance before the rent deadline swallowed her whole. Aisha had learned early that hope could be dangerous. Her father's sudden death had shattered their stability, leaving her mother ill and their savings drained by hospital bills. Degrees and dreams meant little when survival was the daily goal. Still, she polished her worn shoes, pressed her only blazer, and whispered a quiet prayer before stepping into the rain-soaked street. The company was rumored to be ruthless, its CEO a cold, untouchable figure who valued results over humanity. But desperation had a way of sharpening courage. The building rose like glass and steel ambition, intimidating and flawless. Aisha's reflection stared back at her in the lobby doors, tired eyes, determined spine. She signed in, smoothed her hijab, and followed the assistant down a corridor that smelled of wealth and power. When the office door opened, she expected a panel. Instead, there was only one man behind the desk. Ethan Cross didn't look up at first. His fingers moved swiftly across a tablet, jaw tight, shoulders carrying the weight of an empire. When he finally raised his eyes, they were sharp, assessing, unreadable. Aisha felt her heartbeat thunder, but she refused to look away. "Sit," he said simply. The interview was nothing like she imagined. No polite smiles, no rehearsed questions. He challenged her ideas, interrupted her answers, pushed until her voice trembled, and then steadied. Somewhere between fear and defiance, she found herself speaking with raw honesty. She talked about efficiency, yes, but also ethics. About profit, but also people. About surviving loss and learning resilience the hard way. When she finished, the room was silent. "You're not what we usually hire," Ethan said. "I know," Aisha replied quietly. "But I'm exactly what you need." For the first time, something flickered in his eyes, surprise, maybe respect. He dismissed her without another word. As she rode the elevator down, her legs shook. She told herself not to hope. She got the job. The offer email felt unreal. A salary that could save her mother, benefits she'd never imagined, a position far above what she'd applied for. Gratitude and fear tangled inside her. On her first day, she learned quickly that brilliance came with a cost. The pace was brutal, the expectations relentless. Ethan was demanding, distant, and allergic to excuses. Yet he noticed everything. He corrected her mistakes without humiliation, challenged her growth without cruelty. Slowly, grudgingly, he began to trust her. Weeks turned into months. Late nights blurred into early mornings. Aisha became indispensable. Not because she worked herself to exhaustion, but because she brought something the company lacked: empathy. She spoke up for overlooked employees, proposed changes that balanced profit with humanity. Ethan resisted at first, then listened. Their debates were intense, their silences heavier. Somewhere between boardrooms and coffee breaks, respect deepened into something dangerous. But power never exists without shadows. The board grew restless. Investors wanted stability, not innovation that softened the bottom line. Rumors swirled about Ethan's leadership: too cold, too isolated, too unpredictable. The company needed an image shift. They needed a story. The proposal came without warning. Aisha was summoned to a private meeting. Lawyers, executives, Ethan, unreadable as ever. They spoke of mergers, public perception, legacy. Then the words landed like a thunderclap: a contract marriage. A strategic union to humanize the CEO, stabilize the company, and secure a future worth billions. Aisha felt the room spin. She was an employee, not a pawn. She stood to leave, but Ethan's voice stopped her. "I won't force you," he said quietly. "And I won't lie. This would help the company. But I asked for you because I trust you. And because I respect you." Respect wasn't love, but it wasn't nothing. The offer promised financial security beyond her wildest dreams, medical care for her mother, freedom from fear. Yet the cost was her independence, her heart, her truth. That night, she cried until dawn, torn between survival and self-worth. In the end, she chose a third option: control. She agreed, but on her terms. Transparency, boundaries, an exit clause, no pretending in private. Ethan accepted without hesitation. The wedding was a spectacle. Cameras flashed, headlines screamed. Aisha smiled until her cheeks ached, feeling like an actress in someone else's life. Ethan played his role flawlessly, his hand steady on her back, his voice calm when he introduced her as his wife. Behind closed doors, silence returned. At first, living together stripped away illusions. Aisha saw the man behind the power, sleepless nights, scars from betrayals, a childhood shaped by abandonment. Ethan saw her strength beyond survival, her kindness, her fierce integrity, her refusal to bend even when it cost her. Slowly, walls cracked, conversations replaced contracts, laughter crept into quiet rooms. But love is never convenient. When a scandal erupted, false allegations tied to Aisha's past, the board turned vicious. They questioned her worth, her motives, her background. Ethan was pressured to distance himself, to protect the company. For the first time, Aisha felt truly alone. She packed her bags. "I won't be the reason you lose everything," she said, voice breaking. Ethan stopped her at the door. "I built this empire alone," he said, "and it almost destroyed me. I won't lose you to save something that means nothing without you." He went public, not with damage control, but with truth. He defended her fiercely, exposed the lies, and admitted his own failures. The risk was enormous. Stocks fell. The board threatened removal, but something unexpected happened. People listened, employees rallied, customers supported. The company didn't collapse, it transformed. Ethan stepped down as CEO, choosing integrity over power. For the first time, he was free. Aisha expected regret. Instead, she found peace. Months later, on a quiet morning far from cameras and contracts, Ethan asked her a question without lawyers present. "Will you stay?" he said, "not because you have to, but because you want to." Aisha smiled through tears. "Only if we choose each other." Every day, their love didn't begin with fairy tales. It began with courage, compromise, and the refusal to lose oneself for comfort. Together, they built something new, not an empire of glass and steel, but a life rooted in honesty and purpose. And Aisha learned that sometimes, the job you apply for isn't the one you're meant to have. Sometimes, life offers something far greater, not as a reward for suffering, but as proof that strength, when paired with integrity, can change everything.